Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPL D Unit and today you are here for Game Week 24 preview and early doors. Look, Game Week 23 hasn't been as kind to me as what Game Week 22 definitely was and Game Week 21. The Phil Foden machine continues to purr along at a nice little click. FYI, he did play better against a better team, but the next 3 weeks are significantly more difficult than I would say Chelsea at home. And Chelsea probably should have put that game to bed early in the first half and they didn't. So it's just one of them things. But look, we're here today for the preview for the first double game week of the season. Lots of people, the assistant manager chip is now active as well. If you want to play it, you can. I'm not recommending you do it. However, watching Everton on the weekend has got me thinking that potentially it's not the worst player in the world to play it on David Moyes. There does seem to be some sort of a new manager bounce here. And yes, they have the Leicester game, which you would... the only problem I've got with Everton is, and we'll talk about the Dominic Calvert-Lewin injury in a minute, but like, who's actually going to score the goals? Like, that is the main reason why I'm not overly sold on playing on David Moyes. And I don't think playing on Arnie Slot makes any sense at all. That's just my personal opinion. You'll have to let me know in the comments if that is where you're going. Also, FYI, if you... Apparently, there's a bit of a bug in the system. If you bring in a manager, so for example, you brought in David Moyes as you activate your chip, apparently, as of time of recording, can't verify this because I haven't played it myself, but if you've bought in David Moyes and you want to change your manager prior to the deadline, it's actually going to cost you a free transfer. So if that is the case... That's exceptionally unfortunate if you decide to change your mind about which manager you're going to play it on. If that is the case, FPL need to sort that out because that just seems a little bit silly. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you're not one of those people and go, oh my God, I'm literally losing a -4 now because I've changed my mind about which manager I want. Realistically, just don't play it yet. Let the bugs get out of the system. I mean, this is the problem when you introduce something mid-season. It's always... something like this is always likely to potentially happen. So yeah, let's, without further ado, smash a like on the video, please. Please subscribe if you're new. And look, the aim is to get to 500, hopefully by the end of this week with some luck. And we are moving in the right direction. So all your help is very much appreciated. And obviously support the channel. It is growing. And obviously it was a little bit loose on the weekend for the deadline stream. My voice is still recovering a little bit, but hopefully we are good to go. And without further ado, let's get into early doors for Game Week 24. So the big decision for me last week was going with the double up on the Liverpool defence or going with the Cody Gakpo machine up front. And obviously I got rid of Nicholas Jackson. And the two transfers I've actually made this week actually made me less points than if I hadn't made any transfers at all. I don't feel bad about them because I feel like this is a game week where potentially things always look like they weren't going to be as flash for my team as I thought that they potentially could be, just with the form that some players are in and the fixtures that my team had and the clashes I had in my team. Just unfortunately, I just read them slightly wrong this week, and that's just what happens in FPL. Don't get too down about it, and we're all ready to go for double game week 24. So yeah, going against Gakpo, yeah, lots of people went there. Fantastic, great work. He's going to keep rising in price because obviously everyone's like 16 points Ipswich. But it is a little bit like points chasing. Now, I've been saying all season, which is why I didn't think Foden or Kluivert, ironically, were good buys on the weekend, but they both returned yet again, so maybe they are good buys. Cody Gakpo, though, he hadn't done any... We're going to look at him a little bit later on in terms of like his actual stats or whatever, but like they were playing Ipswich, and Ipswich are probably the banker fixture outside of Southampton. Liverpool have Bournemouth and Everton. Now, does that inspire me with great confidence in terms of the double up in the Liverpool defence? No, not really. It doesn't, to be honest. But like defenders in general aren't keeping clean sheets this season, so 4 points from a defender is probably better than... like there were quite a few teams that kept clean sheets on the weekend. Like a lot of the big defenders actually returned, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold. I don't think... It was disappointing. Liverpool conceding that late goal, like... That's what gave me the red arrow. Like Alisson would have kept the clean sheet. Trent would have kept the clean sheet. That would have been an extra 8 points I would have got compared to what my total was at the end of the game week. And I think potentially that meant I probably would have literally stayed the exact same rank. It's just one of them things. Unfortunately, they conceded, live to fight another day. But look, the banker in the Ipswich game didn't come in for the defence. It came in for the forward line. But if you were a Luis Diaz owner, played him, it didn't work for him either. So like sometimes you just can't read these things. Gakpo got lucky this week. Next week it might be Mo Salah. Next week it could be someone else. It could be Szoboszlai again. Who knows? I did say he was a good option as well at a slightly cheaper price point. I actually think he's better than Luis Diaz moving forward. Benching headaches continue to haunt me. Kirk is again last man on my bench. Second week in a row. That's now 13 points that I've left on the bench from him alone in the last 2 weeks. It's time for me to start giving Bournemouth a bit more respect, I think, on this channel. And we will talk about them in a little bit. Look, it is a slight red arrow for me this week. I am down from 6,116 to 10,375 or 4. We'll have a look at that in a second. But not too bad. Like, considering my team this week, I'm not overly disappointed with it. Like, I had Milenkovic get me 0 points on the bench. On field. No one could predict that they were going to lose 5-0 in that game. It's just unlucky. I'm not overly too disappointed with actually how the week panned out. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot better. Spurs, though, are in real trouble. If you're a Spurs fan, my sympathy goes out to you. If you bought in Son thinking this is the Leicester at home fixture, Spurs are just massively underwhelming. Like, I don't know if they have to make a change, but it feels like it's getting close to they're going to have to make a managerial change. And then maybe the assistant manager chip would be brilliant on Spurs. And if they get a new manager bounce, they're down in 15th now, I'm pretty sure. 15th in the league. It's insane. The new manager bounces, though, they continue. Everton beat Brighton 1-0. Who saw that one coming? Especially away from home. And then we had Graham Potter get a 1-1 draw against Aston Villa away from home as well. Like, the new manager bounce seems to be real at these teams. Obviously, the Bournemouth dismantling Forest thing, like Dango hat-trick. Like, are you kidding me? Kluivert, another goal and assist, another over 10-point haul. Semenyo, another goal. All these players continue to return. It's brilliant. I really do want a Bournemouth player, but I wouldn't be buying them this week for Liverpool. I don't think they're going to be that good, but we'll just have to wait and see, really. Again, don't make transfers until after the midweek European games. There are lots of Champions League, Europa League. Again, this week it's the last week of the normal rounds. I don't know. I think some teams are probably going to start resting some players. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool rested some players because they are through. They are qualified for the next round. We'll just be interested to see what happens there. And look, the double game week is upon us. If you haven't got your third Liverpool player in, or you're deciding about which chip you're going to play, or maybe you're having second thoughts because, like, Bournemouth are in such good form and Everton look like they're in a bit of a revival, well, I'm here hopefully to try and allay those fears and talk a little bit more contextually about what I'll be doing this week, having all my 3 Liverpool players as well already in my team. Am I going to move for an Everton player? Which one do I think looks good? And then we're going to look at my transfer plans. So I've got 1 free transfer this week. Obviously, I made 2 last week. Do I continue to hold Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad, Wood, and Foden? Like, they are the 4 players probably on the chopping block. I'm pretty happy with the rest of the team, to be fair. I mean, Robinson could go, but other than that, the players that I do really want, though, are Mbuemo and Kluivert. Now, I have 2 different modes of how I want to get them in. They are a little bit price dependent, but I suppose the best thing we can do is actually just to hop straight into it and hopefully have a look. So, the team this week, 54 points. I made the 2 free transfers. The average was 59, so that was disappointing that I was below the average. Considering I was below the average, dropping down from 6,116 to 10,395, considering the average, and I was below it, wasn't actually that bad. Like, it could have been a lot worse. There was only 4,000 odd places in the end. Almost doubling my rank, but it was still a pretty good week in total. And look, when we look at the team, obviously that Alisson, Becker and Trent conceding that goal when they only were expected to concede 0.48 for the game against Ipswich at home, that hurt. Like, that is the reason why I'm below the average. Otherwise, I'd be above it. Like, I would have had the extra 8 points in my team. Maybe the average would have gone a bit higher and it would have been like bang on the average. And again, the other one, obviously the Milenkovic one, like, I started him over Robinson and Kirkes. They both outscore him. Robinson, obviously, 0.25 expected goals against Man United. Pure fluke that goal went in. That actually was probably the worst game of football that there has been in the Premier League all season long. And yeah, Robinson was desperately unlucky. He probably won't be playing against Newcastle away this week. And then obviously we've got Kirkes in there, and he's looking all right. Like, he's not going to be playing against Liverpool, though. I'm not going to be playing him this week. So, for me, it's the same defenders are going to be rolling up this week. Like, Milenkovic obviously has the Brighton game at home, so I'm a little bit more excited about that. Brighton didn't look like they were in free-flowing form. And then Hall obviously has Fulham. Hopefully, you get attacking return. I feel like Fulham will potentially score, but like, Fulham were just so devoid of anything in that game. It was really bizarre. So, look, not overly too unhappy there. Phil Foden continues to score. continues to return points. If anyone's wondering, that's now, well, I said it was 59 points in his last 6 or whatever. He's now got another 7 to go with that. It's 66 in his last 5 or whatever it is. It's insane. Like, the dude has been so good. Like, yeah. So, look, he lives to fight another day. Obviously, the Arsenal away game is difficult. And there is a world this week where I just bench Phil Foden and I just don't play him this week. Like, that potentially might be the play because it is the Arsenal away game. But then Newcastle at home, I'm not too concerned about Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, Spurs away. I think that he can return. Like, and if I can just get through the next 3 weeks, Phil Foden's going to be someone I don't even have to make a transfer. It could actually allow me to not have to wildcard in game week 30 the way I'm hopefully setting up my team to play it later on in the season. Maybe I'll do the wildcard and then I'll do the free hit on like the last day of the season. Like, it is something I've been trying to navigate. So that hopefully I'll explain that a little bit more in these videos. In terms of Hull, that was disappointing. Conceded a goal of 0.76 against Southampton. Not ideal. Southampton almost scored a second time as well, which was just unheard of. Bruno Fernandes, just disappointing, really. I mean, there was nothing in that game. Ahmad obviously straight offside, and I almost got that one wrong, having Ahmad on the bench, but offside goals don't count towards expected goal involvement. It was just one of them games that was just completely and utterly devoid of quality. Now, interestingly here, Fabianski did not play against Aston Villa. So I don't know if this means that Areola's going to become the goalkeeper in the league, but this is a problem because at the moment, if Liverpool do overturn the Carabao Cup result and Fabianski is no longer being played in the league, I will have to make a transfer in the goalkeeper position yet again because I've got Alisson. And if they blank in 29 and Fabianski's not playing, I'm going to have to save a transfer for that, which is highly annoying. But it is one of them things, unfortunately. I'm just going to have to like roll with it and just see how it goes. But it's not ideal. That is definitely not ideal. Cole Palmer again, disappointing. Didn't really offer much against Man City either. 0.21 expected goal involvement. I wouldn't be selling him though. They've got West Ham at home this week, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, Leicester the next 5. The next 5 weeks are fine for Cole Palmer. You don't want to be selling him the next 5 weeks. Just don't do it. Maybe... It just makes no sense. There's no one that can offer what he can offer in the game. I don't know where you would move to either. If lots of people bought in Son instead, you'd be massively disappointed if you wasted a transfer on that. Mo Salah, we're going to talk about him. So he had 0.35 expected goal involvement. Obviously got the 1 goal against Ipswich, which wasn't amazing considering I made him captain and I thought he was a better captaincy choice than Isak. Isak, though, just continues to go ham. 1.5 expected goals, 0.25 expected assists. The dude's just phenomenal. Like, I'm not concerned with Fulham at home. I'm not concerned with Man City away. There's not really a game I'm concerned about until game week 27 in terms of Newcastle attacking-wise. And then it's an amazing run of fixtures after that as well. Pretty much through the rest of the season. Obviously, that Arsenal game in 37, problematic. But other than that, I mean, Newcastle are in such good form. That Bournemouth game just showed, I think Bournemouth just showed the last 2 weeks that Bournemouth are a quality side. Like, they are a quality football team this year. And probably we've paid them not enough credit for most of this season. So Kirk is here, continues to burn me, keeps racking up these points. Attacking returns, defensive returns. The dude's been so good. Like, since I bought him in game week 12, 7, 8, 2, 2, 6, 6, 1, 12, 1, 7, 6. He's made so many points. He's going to continue to rise in price and ownership. 9.6% ownership now as well. I wouldn't be buying him this week, but for me, he's definitely someone that's looked at. So look, let's have a look at the areas that I am thinking about making a change. So Chris Wood is definitely in there, but he's definitely going to be held. I did look at feasibility of like actually just ditching Alisson down to a different goalkeeper in order to get Chris Wood out for Cody Gakpo. But I just don't think it's worth it. And I feel like Chris Wood, yes, he had next to no goal involvement against Bournemouth. That's just probably a sign that Bournemouth played him off the park. But the next few weeks, ideally, I want to hold him till the end of game week 26. That's when I want to deal with Chris Wood, at the end of 26, before this Arsenal at home and Man City at home fixtures. Ideally, you could hold him to 29, but I just don't know if I can do that. There's lots of players that I'm considering at that point. Wissa here, unfortunately, 0.52 expected goal involvement. Just unlucky that he didn't return against Crystal Palace. I actually thought he was going to score in the first half, but he didn't. It was just unfortunate. Nicholas Jackson actually returned, which is just ironic. It's always the way. When you sell a player, they always return the week after. So look, let's have a look at the transfers. So FYI, if you're playing the assistant manager chip this week and you want to get to the assistant manager, I think in order to pick a manager, you just go down here into the player selection bit, go to managers, and you'll see all 20 managers there. Now, you'll see that David Moyes, 0.5 mil, scored more points than Iriola, even though they spanked Nottingham Forest 5-0, and Slot, who spanked Ipswich 4-1, 19 points. You want to know why he got that? Because of the table bonus. So Brighton were over 5 spots above Everton in the table. Now, obviously, if I was a betting man and I was actually going to play my assistant manager chip this week, I'd put it on David Moyes, 100% this week. I feel like he's got the highest potential in terms of points for game week 24. So if you're going to play it straight off the bat, he is the man I would go to. Obviously, you're not going to need too much money. 0.5 million is next to nothing, which is why I quite like the managers down near the bottom. If I think they're in a bit of run of form, then they're good. So, like, look, he's definitely someone I'm intrigued by. Obviously, Crystal Palace as well. That's away, but that's also going to be a table bonus, I think. I'd have to check the table. Oh, no, I don't think it is. I don't think Palace are not 5 spots above Everton. No, they're not. No, cancel that. Ignore what I just said. Man United obviously aren't as well. So, like, it's really, you play it on Moyes this week if you're going to play it and then look to transfer it to someone else that's got the table bonus for the next week. So that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be playing on Arnie Slot. These games against Bournemouth, particularly away and Everton away, are not games where I would say they're bankers. Like, I don't think that these are like walk up, straight up, Slot's going to score 3 or 4 goals for Liverpool and they're going to win. I don't think that's going to be the case. So for me, I wouldn't be going near Arnie Slot. And he obviously is going to cost you an extra 1 million on top of David Moyes. But he is the most owned manager at the moment. So lots of people backing in Liverpool's form. Maybe they're all Liverpool fans. Maybe they're all a little bit deluded, but we're not sure. So you're just going to have to check that out. In terms of players I want though, so Brian Mbuemo is definitely top of the list. Now, he's obviously returned with the penalty. He got actually really lucky that someone was encroaching because or else he would have ended up on 0 points, I think. Yeah, because they obviously conceded. Yeah, he would have ended up on 0 points because they conceded. And yeah, he obviously missed the penalty, but because it was encroachment, that got taken off and he got a chance to score and he scored. So look, he scored. The next run of fixtures look amazing as well. Spurs have now become a grey team, probably because of the fact that they're absolutely rubbish and they're called Spurs. But there you are. Then they've got West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Villa. I mean, it's a shame those games are away from home, the West Ham, Leicester ones. But there's plenty of potential for Brian Mbuemo to score goals, for them to win penalties, for him to get the points. I really like their run all the way through to game week 29. Like, it just looks an amazing run of fixtures for Brentford in general. And I think that's why I really like Brian Mbuemo. Now, for terms of me, there's a couple of different options of my one transfer this week. The first one is I get rid of the double up in the Man United midfield, which has been bugging me for a few weeks. But there is a potential I could play them both at home to Crystal Palace. Because realistically, I would like to swap out Ahmad for either Kluivert. And Kluivert, we'll have a look at his expected goal volume here. 0.61 against Nottingham Forest. I mean, when he scored the hat-trick, he only had 0.33 expected goal involvement. He scored a hat-trick. Like, that's just insane, obscene, like, how he managed to do that. But, like, this isn't the fixture to bring him in this week. Like, Liverpool at home is not an easy fixture. But then we've said that about Wolves. We've said that about Newcastle. We've said that about Nottingham Forest the last 2 weeks. And he's gone absolutely ham. So maybe Bournemouth are just that good. I don't know. In terms of the other people I'm interested in, Semenyo is also another option. So Semenyo has better goal expected involvement, pretty much, other than when obviously the penalties are being given, because obviously Kluivert takes the penalties, so that's a bit harder. But in terms of that, he's just been ticking along quite nicely as well. Like since game week 17, 8-3, 5-3, 12, 5-9, it's a pretty good run of form. The dude's in pretty good form. Bournemouth are in good form. I mean, the other one that you could look at here, if you're a real betting man, is that, how do you say it? Dango. Not Dongu, Dango. So he's only 5 million. And yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't actually watch this game in terms of like where he was positioned, but it looks like he could be potentially moving a bit more further forward. I mean, like since game week 15, he has gone ham a couple of times. 12-2, 6-3, 6-3, 2-4, 21. I just think that Kluivert and Semenyo are better options. But if you wanted to free up some budget, I suppose, and technically speaking, you go there. By the way, Damsgaard continues to get involved. Another assist here, 7 points. This dude's underlying data this season has been so good. For 5 mil, he's definitely a worthy option as well, but I don't think I'll be looking to move him in now. Another player that did catch my eye was, hold on, I don't know why that's not showing up. Let's try that. And Szoboszlai. So I did say last week in a differential video that he could be a really good shout, and I still think he is. 0.71 expected goal involvement against Ipswich, and he does have the tendency to get these big returns. 17 against Tottenham in game week 17, 10 against Southampton in 12, like 7 and 6. Like he's been pretty good. His underlying data for the season as well, 0.33 and 0.2. If we compare that to Cody Gakpo, get rid of that, go to the forwards. If you were looking at this, Cody Gakpo, he's up to probably a bit more now, 0.4, 0.19. There's not that much difference between the two in terms of attacking data. Obviously, Szoboszlai is going to get you more points if they keep a clean sheet and if they score a goal. So that's got to be kept in mind. And as I said for Gakpo, like, Ipswich are a way easier team. And like Leicester, obviously, way easier team. The two teams he scored really big against are the teams you would expect him to deliver the most points in. Against Man United, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, much better teams on paper, he's struggled a lot more. The returns have not been the same. So if you're thinking that he's going to pop off and get you I don't think there's any way in the world he gets more than 16 points in game week 24, which would be really good if he got that. I just think it's more likely to be like 10. Is the honest answer. Like, that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, look, for me, I'm not concerned with my forward line at the moment. As I said, Cunha is the one I'm looking at, but that would be for Wood in around about game week 27. Like game week 27 onwards, the next 3 weeks, as I said, Chris Wood will be staying in the team. I don't like the fixtures for Wolves, but then it really opens up and it makes such a good idea to do it. And if you look who they've got in game week 29 in that blank, they've got Southampton. So Cunha, provided he stays at Wolves, looks like an absolutely banker of a fixture for that particular week. So that's definitely somewhere I'm looking at going. In terms of the midfield, as I said, ideally, I could just make the Kluivert transfer this week, and that would leave me with nothing left in the bank at all. Now, ideally, what I would like to do is do nothing this week, restore Ahmad, just play them both. Play them both against Palace. I feel like Palace away from home are not going to be anywhere near as good. I feel like Man United will score. They look like they're through to the Europa League next round, so that looks also decent as well. And I just roll them, and I roll that transfer because ideally what I want to do is I want to get rid of Trent. I can't believe I'm saying this already, but I want to get rid of him. He will be staying for the Wolves game, 100%, in game week 25. So he's here for the next 2 weeks. So ideally I save the transfer this week, save the transfer next week, and then in game week 26, I make 2 moves, potentially 3, with the 3 transfers I would have. Trent will be out because there's no way I'm playing him against Man City. So in that case, if we go to the defenders really quickly, I'm not sure where I would go with Trent, but it's probably going to be a sub 5 million defender. So in this case, it could well be that he could even go back to Timber, you know. I might even just bring Timber back in. So hopefully this actually means I make some money out of this as well, because obviously I sold Timber and then I potentially bring him in when he's 5.5. That would then leave me with 1.9 in the bank. Now, ideally, what I would like to do is actually bring in midfielders, is actually bring in Mbuemo for that position and play like a stacked midfield 8. That's what I'd like to do. But in order to do that, I need to make 0.5. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but I did say that potentially I may need to make a goalkeeper move because of the fact that, you know, Liverpool are highly likely to play. If Fabianski's not playing, I'm going to have to move Becker or Fabianski. I don't want to move a 4 million rated goalkeeper. So in this case, it would probably be Becker, and that would give me 4.9. And depending on who's in good form at that particular moment in time, it could be anyone. But ideally, I'm probably eyeing up. Like, I could either go as a Brigella has actually been pretty decent on the whole for like quite a few weeks. He obviously didn't play against Chelsea and the Everton game, but outside of that, he's had 7-2, 3-2, 9-8, 2, 3-7. Like, he's been keeping clean sheets. He doesn't cost that much. He's a 4.5 million goalkeeper. The other one obviously would be Dean Henderson. Now, Dean Henderson, again, has had pretty good data, generally speaking, pretty good returns. But that's just generally why I'm going to have to make a move there. So for me, yeah, that's why I'm looking at going. It might even be that I just ditch Timber and bring in a 5.1 million defender. Now, I'm not sure who I like at that particular price. Let's just go 5 mil. Whoops. And we'll change that to defenders. In terms of, hold on. Let's go 5.3, see what comes up. Says Murillo, I don't really want another Nottingham Forest player. It could potentially just be a Gahey. It could even be a Munoz, a Mitchell. Don't mind any of them. Could even be like a Lacroix or a Huijsen. Mikalenko. Potentially I could move Mikalenko in this week. I just don't think it makes any sense. I could get rid of Robinson because I don't think Robinson's going to keep too many clean sheets for the foreseeable future. It could be that Mikalenko just comes in this week in a 1 week move. Sorry, I'll get rid of that. Restore Ahmad. And I just have 0.8. I really want to get rid of one of Ahmad or Bruno Fernandes. That's what it comes down to. Maybe I get rid of Bruno Fernandes and just move him to Mbuemo this week and then I'm done with it. Because I just don't know. But that's where I'm at. That's my preview for this week. Look, I am probably highly likely to play the triple captain this week. Now, I still have it available. As you can see here, if we go back to the top, wildcards and play, I've got free hit and play, assistant manager I can play. If I actually go to pick team, I've also got the triple captain available there, as you can see now. I actually had weighted up playing it on Trent as a little bit of a differential. But there's no way I'm going to be playing on Trent. If they're conceding against Ipswich, they're going to be conceding against Bournemouth and Everton. That's just the way I read it. Particularly Bournemouth. I would expect Bournemouth to probably score at the Vitality Stadium. I feel like that's quite highly likely that they'll score there. So for me, I wouldn't be playing it on him. But lots of people going, should we be playing on Mo Salah? Let's have a look. I'm going to do some quick math here for you, and you tell me whether it's worth playing. So outside of game week 21 and 22, where he blanked week to week, that's 5 points, which would have trebled, a triple captain would have got you 15. But even if you did this week and last week, that's 11 points. That's 11 points tripled, 33. The game week 20 and 21, that's 9. That's not a very good one, but that would be 27. But then if you have a look at any other combination of weeks for the season, the points total is massive. So Ipswich, Brentford, first 2 game weeks, that would have been 24 points trebled. Game weeks 2 and 3, that would have been 27 trebled. Even game week 3 and 4, 19 trebled. Obviously 4 and 5, that would have been 8, not flash. 10 and 6, 16. 10 and 3, 13. The potential, so many weeks back to back, he's scored way over 20 points. It makes sense to just play it on the man. Yes, there's been no double figure haul since game week 19, but you wouldn't bet against Mo Salah delivering when it really matters. And this man is a man in form. So for me, he is the man that makes most sense to play your triple captain on this week. So that is my early thoughts ahead of the game week 24 deadline. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of knowledge to work out what to do. And if you are playing the system manager chip, make sure you've picked the manager that you want straight off the bat, because you don't want to have to be losing transfers and wasting them in case they haven't actually got the app set up right. So make sure you update your app as well. I also probably won't let you do it. But again, I wouldn't be doing it this week. Join me tomorrow for the differentials. Please smash a like before you leave and a subscribe if you're new. And I'll join you tomorrow for then. That's been the D Unit.